Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Storytime with Charlie. This story is called Computers and Credit Card Numbers. Now, back when I was about 13, so we're talking 37 years ago, what kind of computer did you have? You didn't have a computer. Almost nobody had a computer 37 years ago. If you did, that's awesome. I wanted a computer, and I told my dad, and he said, well, let's check it out. And I remember I think it was $400 for the cheap one. And that's what I wanted. He said, I'll buy you the computer if you start working Saturdays from 9 to 1 at the upholstery shop. I was already working there every day after school. And so I'm like, okay, I'll work Saturdays. I wanted this computer so bad. So, I earned it. There's nothing wrong with him doing that. It was like awesome at 13 to be buying my own computer. Oh, for a side note, I worked Saturdays from the time I was 13 to the time I was 33. Which means I worked Monday through Friday and Saturdays, for a long time. I'm a 6-day guy. I've been a 6-day my whole life. The day I stopped working Saturdays, I felt like a lazy piece of loser. Like, who works 40 hours a week? Like, what are you people even doing? They probably all were like making more money than me, like with 401ks and stuff. But at the time, I thought I was working hard. Well, anyway, that's for another story. So basically, what happened was, I got my computer. I got way into the computer thing. It was a lot of fun. A friend introduced me to a modem where we could go online. Now, there was an online, I bet America Online was not even a thing. You go ahead and Google it. I bet it wasn't. But you could call and connect to other computers directly, one at a time. My computer connects to your computer. We could send files and leave messages back and forth and stuff like that. So I get involved with that. And I also get involved with collecting software. And by collecting, I mean software that all costs, $29, $50, some of them $300. We just copy them. We'd have ways to copy them and then trade them for free. So yeah, it was stealing. It's software piracy is what it's called, okay? And that's one level of software piracy, but the higher level of software piracy is selling these things for money, okay? And I don't know if any of you out in LA, I don't know if the recycler is a big thing, and I think it might be just in Los Angeles, but it was a free newspaper, kind of like Craigslist, but before the internet, so it was a newspaper. So I called and I put an ad in, computer games, $3 to $6. And grown men would come to my house. And now I wasn't 13 anymore. This took a couple of years to build up, to get where I had like 500 computer games and all these expensive CAD design software programs and spreadsheets. There's no such thing as Excel. No one had a spreadsheet. No one had a database. This was early computer stuff. So like businesses and stuff had this stuff going, but at home it was still in its infancy. So I'd have like grown men come to my house. They'd have to bring their own blank discs, and I would copy some games, which cost me absolutely nothing. And then they would hand me, $60, $80 in cash. Now, I was doing this when I was like 15, 16, 17, 18, right in that range. One time a guy wrote me a check. I still remember that guy. God, I could almost tell you who referred him to me. He wrote me a check for $80. And I'm like 16, 17, and I'm like, I don't have a bank account. What do I do with this? He's all, I'm sorry. I said cash. He said, it's just like cash. I learned that day, and I used it in the rest of my business life. When we talk about cash means green money, correct? Okay, great. Sometimes you need green money. Like when you're a kid and you don't have a bank account, and you can't tell your parents that you're basically, yeah. So he leaves, and I think I lied to my mom, and I said, Mom, I sold the guy a piece of computer equipment. I got this check. She's all, $80. I'm like, yeah, I sold him that hard drive I didn't need or whatever. She's all, okay, my poor mom. I lied to her. I'm sorry, Mom. And so she got me my $80. But I would trade these pirated software, games, and programs to other people all across the country. And we'd have to do it on the phone line. Well, this was back when a phone call cost money. Remember when you wanted to call your cousin and your mom said, oh, you could talk for 5 minutes? Because it would literally cost your mom like $2.80. Phone calls are free now, but they weren't free back then. It cost money. So if I want to send a file to a guy in Pennsylvania, Dragon Master, let's say his name was, right? I want to send him a file. It takes like 45 minutes, an hour or two sometimes. That's a very expensive phone bill. Well, you can't be doing that. So we were using, they weren't Sprint codes, but there was another company similar to Sprint where you dial their 1-800 number, then you enter an access code, then you dial the number that you want to call, and it connects you. And it was much cheaper long distance, and that was the beginning of Sprint. That's where Sprint got started, was in long distance like that. But it was not Sprint. There was a reason we didn't use Sprint, and I don't know why. Anyway, my computer, I could turn my computer on at night, and it would keep calling their computer and entering codes, and then whichever one worked, it would make a little list for me. I'd wake up in the morning, and I'd have 10 good codes that I could make free phone calls for. So here, back when I was 16, 17, I was in Louisiana, and I wanted to call back to California to my computer friends. And so I just went to a payphone, 1-800, blah, 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 entered my stolen code, and connected me. I talked to California for 3 hours if I want to. Back then, that would cost $30, $27, maybe more. So we would do that, and there were credit card situations. This was earlier credit cards too. This was like before identity theft and stuff. And there were credit cards were out, but everyone didn't have one. I think Carte Blanche was there, and probably American Express. I bet Discover was not invented or started back then. So I had friends that would order computer parts online with a stolen credit card number, have it shipped to an empty, vacant house like 2 blocks from their house. Pay the extra $280 for overnight. Yeah, just put it on the card. Don't worry about it. It's for my business. They'd be like 15 years old, driving home in the back seat of their mother's car, and they'd look at the house and they'd see a big stack of packages where all stuff came. They'd go in the house. Okay, Mom, we're gonna go play outside. They put their shorts and their skateboards, and they go down and they get all their computer stuff, sneak it in the back door, take it up in the room. Computer heaven, okay? I never did that. As a matter of fact, I remember one guy got caught, and I could probably use his fake name. He was the warden. I'm not going to even tell his BBS, but he got popped. Even back then, you could get popped. I never used a stolen credit card number when I was 15. But I did have a list of good stolen credit card numbers when I was 15 that I did use to trade for stolen software, for pirated software. Actually, it's all this is all just a dream I had. Yeah, that's it. That's pretty much a basic idea of my computer software piracy. Oh, I'll tell you this. I met a friend of mine who became my chess buddy for years through that ad selling pirated software, and I sold him some software, and we became friends, and then we started playing chess, and then he met a girl at a chess tournament, actually, and he got with her, and I ended up marrying that girl's sister. Was married to her for like 21 years or something. We have kids together, as a matter of fact. And so I actually have my children thanks to pirating software, if you could wrap your head around that. Maybe this is getting too weird. This is computers and credit cards. Story time with Charlie.